In the midst of the storm, as the icy wind tore through the night, the moon, weary of loneliness, felt the warm touch of a stranger. The moment froze, promising change. What happened next? Through the gray canvas of the winter sky, where stars barely pierced the thick clouds, Luna wandered the abandoned streets like the shadow of a forgotten dream. Every movement reflected the pain of days gone by, and her sorrow-filled eyes spoke of a life that had long ceased to be kind. Snow, like silent witnesses to her suffering, blanketed everything around, swallowing sounds and turning the city into a lonely labyrinth of cold oblivion. Luna walked slowly, as if with every step a piece of her soul was slipping away. The icy wind relentlessly lashed against her fur, making not just her body tremble, but her heart as well. It seemed as if nature itself shared her pain, shedding cold tears of snow that vanished without a trace, just like the memories she struggled to forget. The dog's eyes glistened in the dim light of the street lamps, reflecting not only the chill of the surrounding world, but also the depth of loss that had long settled in her heart. Shrouded in darkness and solitude, Luna felt lost in both time and space. Every breath was heavy, as if the air, filled with icy sorrow, seeped into her lungs, depriving her of any hope for a warm future. Abandoned by fate, she wandered through the ruins of buildings, where every sound echoed through the empty corridors of desolation. Echoes of the past, distant, almost forgotten footsteps, a faint bark barely audible in the commotion of a winter night, all reminded her of moments when life had meaning, when her heart beat with joy. Amidst this gloom and cold emptiness, Luna had not ended up on these streets by chance. Every crack in the ice, every layer of snow, told its own tragic story. Every frozen drop falling from the sky seemed to try to erase her past, yet the pain of loss and betrayal was too strong to forget. She remembered the warmth that had once filled her soul, but now that light felt so distant and unattainable. As she roamed the narrow alleys, Luna stumbled upon remnants of the past, forgotten toys left behind by someone who once loved her, and ruined houses that had once echoed with laughter. But these reminders only deepened the emptiness inside her, making her heart beat in rhythm with despair. In every step, in every glance cast around her, there was a yearning to find even a drop of warmth, to forget, even for a moment, the icy loneliness that had consumed her soul. This winter was not just a season. It was a symbol of her inner frost, an eternal cold that would not leave her, no matter how hard she tried to escape her fate. Luna, wrapped in darkness and oblivion, was the embodiment of pain and loss, yet deep in her eyes, a faint spark still flickered, a spark that could awaken hope even in the most desperate of circumstances. And it was this spark, though barely visible, that promised that somewhere beyond the horizon of frozen wastelands, a light might exist, one that could bring her back to life. Beneath the oppressive sky, where the cold seemed like a living entity, Luna pressed forward, driven by an unyielding thirst for life. The wind howled as if it intended to tear her apart, and the icy rain turned each step into an agonizing ordeal. At night, the world descended into a dark kingdom of despair, where even the sounds of nature echoed like cries of suffering. On one of those merciless evenings, when the frost felt like an impenetrable wall, Luna discovered something beneath the ruins of an abandoned bridge, something that instantly stirred her weary soul. There, in a tiny shelter from the raging storm, she found a small nest. A few puppies, barely visible in the dim light, shivering from cold and loneliness. Their faint, ragged whimpers echoed through the deserted streets like a plea for salvation, making Luna's heart tighten with sorrow. Though exhausted and worn down by her endless struggle, Luna could not leave these fragile lives in the freezing darkness. A spark ignited in her eyes, something resembling a motherly instinct, a fire that burned through the icy despair. Despite her relentless hunger, trembling paws, and the pain accompanying every movement, she knew that indifference had no place in this moment. Her steps became firmer, her resolve stronger, as she gathered the tiny creatures around her, trying to warm them with what little heat she had left. The world around them spiraled into chaos. Blizzards raged, sweeping away any trace of comfort or solace. Every snowflake that fell upon the puppies' frail bodies felt like another cruel strike of fate, a reminder of the merciless world they had been born into. Carrying her fragile charges, Luna felt like a fighter in the ring against an unrelenting opponent, as the bitter frost seeped into her very bones, draining the last of her strength. In those moments, time slowed, and every second stretched into an eternity of pain and struggle. Against the howling wind, she searched desperately for shelter, any place where they could escape the unforgiving storm. But even in this quest, nature continued to test them. Sheets of freezing rain lashed at their bodies, and the wind roared in unison with Luna's pounding heartbeat, a cruel reminder that salvation was still out of reach. Every step was a trial, every minute a battle against an enemy that seemed unbeatable. She felt her strength fading, but the thought of the tiny lives depending on her reignited the last flickering ember of her courage. In this bleak world, where hope seemed non-existent, Luna embodied an unbreakable will, pushing forward despite the overwhelming odds. She understood that only by enduring the storm, by withstanding every frozen drop and every excruciating moment, could she catch a glimpse of light beyond the darkness. This was not just a battle against nature. It was a battle against fate itself, against the pain of the past and the fear of the future. With the last of her strength, Luna curled protectively around the helpless pups, silently promising that even in the heart of this icy despair, she would find a path to salvation. That night became a trial forever etched into her soul, a reminder that even in life's darkest moments, a single spark of light could drive away the shadows. In the depths of the icy, nightmarish darkness, when the world seemed shrouded in impenetrable gloom and despair, fate decided to intervene. Through the blizzard and swirling snow, like a ghost from another world, a figure appeared. At first, barely visible in the dance of snowflakes, it gradually took on the shape of warmth and determination, something so foreign to this harsh landscape. Luna, exhausted and drained from her endless struggle, felt, for the first time, her heart slow its frantic rhythm of fear, yielding to a trembling uncertainty. The figure stopped beneath a half-ruined street lamp, its flickering light resembling the last glimmer of hope in this frozen abyss. His gaze, filled with deep compassion and quiet strength, met Luna's weary eyes. In that moment, an unspoken understanding passed between them. Both were wounded, both seeking salvation. Both knew the pain of loss and the chill of loneliness. The stranger's trembling hand, slowly reaching toward Luna, became a symbol that even in the darkest night, a spark of life could still ignite. It was as if time had stopped. The swirling storm around them lost its menacing force, making way for a soft glow that filtered through the heavy clouds. Luna, who had fought for every breath, felt a tiny flame of hope flicker to life within her heart. Her eyes, filled with pain and despair, for a brief moment reflected the warmth of a human soul, as if sensing that this man was her savior, the one who could offer her solace after years of solitude and suffering. An unexpected touch, gentle, almost imperceptible, like the whisper of the winter wind, awakened in Luna long-forgotten emotions. At first, she hesitated, shrinking back in fear and distrust, as if trying to shield her vulnerability. But then, as she felt the tender warmth of the stranger's hands, her fear began to fade, replaced by a hesitant yet undeniable hope. Each snowflake that touched them both seemed like a blessing, washing away the scars of a cruel winter and reviving memories of a love she once knew. In this fragile moment, when nature itself seemed to conspire against them, human warmth and selfless compassion gave Luna a reason to believe again. There were no grand words, no promises, only the silent certainty that life could change, that even after the longest night, dawn would always come. The stranger's gaze spoke louder than any words. He saw her pain, understood her fears, and was willing to fight for her right to a new life. This moment of unexpected hope became a turning point in their destinies. In this quiet, almost magical instant, Luna felt the icy armor, built over years of despair, begin to crack under the force of warmth. It was a glimpse of a future where pain and loneliness could be replaced by love and care, where each new day promised the possibility of healing and the return of lost faith in kindness. With the first rays of the winter dawn, as the sky began to blush with pale shades of pink and blue, Luna awoke in a new home, where the warmth of the fireplace and gentle hands had given her a second chance. Yet even in this cozy refuge, where every corner whispered that kindness could triumph over cruelty, the past remained close, an invisible but heavy weight on her weary soul. Each day, Luna woke with the burden of memories piercing her mind like the cold wind that once roamed the abandoned streets of her old life. The walls of her new home were adorned with paintings and photographs of joyful moments, yet in the quiet twilight of the room, as the lamp cast its flickering glow, the shadow of her past crept into the deepest corners of her thoughts. Her gaze, filled with pain and an unspoken sorrow, would often rest upon the empty chair by the window, as if a ghost of another time sat there, when life had once felt whole and warm. Despite the care and affection that surrounded her, Luna still felt the constant presence of loss. A scar remained in her heart from wounds that had yet to fully heal, and in her eyes lingered the endless echo of winters long past. Each time she slowly lowered herself onto the soft carpet, her thoughts drifted back to the nights when she had fought for survival beneath the weight of hunger and loneliness. The inexpressible fear and suffering of the past intertwined with the joy of the present, making every moment of happiness feel like a battle won at the cost of immeasurable pain. The small puppies growing under her watchful care brought her comfort and joy. Their carefree play and bright, trusting eyes reflected the hope that had once illuminated her own soul. Yet even in their cheerful barks, Luna heard echoes of her former solitude, understanding that even the brightest happiness could not fully erase the shadow of loss. Every game, every new day carried with it a quiet grief, a reminder that some scars remain forever, even when life offers new beginnings. At times, in the silence of the night, when the house lay wrapped in peaceful stillness, Luna's thoughts returned to the man who had changed her fate. Her heart beat faster at the memory of that fragile moment when a stranger had extended his hand, offering her a future she had never dared to hope for. But deep within, she also felt a quiet fear that happiness could be just as fleeting as that single morning in a world of cold and pain. Her new life became a stage for conflicting emotions. On one side, her home offered warmth, care, and the assurance that love could heal even the deepest wounds. On the other, the unseen shadows of her past still drifted through her mind, making her heart tighten with sorrow and longing. These silent reminders of all she had endured became a part of her essence, an indelible testament to her struggle and resilience. And so, Luna lived between two worlds, one of newfound happiness and one of lost dreams, where every moment was filled with quiet sadness and an endless yearning to forget the pain. This life, woven from both light and darkness, taught her a lesson, that even when the shadows of the past haunt you, love and kindness have the power to break through the deepest gloom, offering hope for a future where pain gives way to healing.